Do you have a plan to cook your food when the power's out and fuel is scarce?
Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Jonathan, and we are the Provident Preppers. Lane Miller reached out to us after seeing some of our emergency cooking videos online and wondered if we'd be interested in reviewing this Minuteman Rocket Stove. Since we're huge rocket stove fans, we jumped at the chance.
So in this video we are going to be reviewing the Minuteman stove, as well as showing you how you can use this ammo can and a few sticks to cook your meals.
Let's take a look at this rocket stove.
One of the things that I really appreciated about this rocket stove is that it comes in an ammo can, so it's very portable. It's quite heavy, about 15 pounds or so? Yeah. And it's durable. I don't think there's much that could happen to hurt this stove.
Using this stove is really quite simple. All you're going to do is open up this can, and we're going to go ahead and remove the lid and just set it right here. You can see I've already got some things inside. I like these little flick sliders. They are amazing. So I keep one of those in there. I've also got a couple of ferrocerium rods that came with this stove. And then one thing I kind of like about this stove is there's room in here for you to store some things that you can use as you're lighting the stove. So you can see here I've got a bag of lint. I love using lint to get this thing started. It just gets it going in a hurry. I've also got a bag of wood shavings. I just take out my knife sometimes and build a little bag of these shavings that'll fit right in here, and then I'm ready to go with some good small wood to get this thing going. Lane also sent us a package of fat wood sticks for fire starting, and these are really amazing. They not only smell good, but they do a great job of getting your fire going. Now, I took some of these and cut them right in half so that they fit right in the stove easily. These can be shaved, feathered out, so that they just make a fantastic fire starter. As we get this fire going in the fire chamber here, we then add the chimney, and then we just continue to feed wood in here to keep that going. Once this thing gets hot and going, there's very little smoke, and it creates a nice hot fire using the rocket stove effect. Let's talk just briefly about the rocket stove design basics. Of course, the fire triangle comes into play here. You need heat, you need fuel, and you need oxygen. Once you get that stove hot, the hot air rises through that chimney and pulls in more air behind it. Bringing in that extra oxygen makes that fire burn hotter and more efficiently.
One of the things that makes rocket stoves really good for emergency preparedness is that they will burn available sticks and different debris.
You can use things like pine cones, any kind of splinters of wood, whatever you can find that's fine and can be fed into that stove. Because these stoves are more efficient, it requires very little fuel to cook your meal. To get the stove started, you're going to want to get some small sticks. I like to put some kindling and some lint underneath, and then just drop these small sticks down the chimney. You don't want to inhibit the airflow too much. You don't want to clog that chimney, but you do want a fair amount of fuel in there in the way of fine sticks just to get this thing going. Now that the kindling is in there, we're going to get this thing started. We're going to use the ferro rod. You could also use a butane fire stick, whatever you want to use to get this going. But once you get that flame down under there, you're going to see this thing take off. As you can see, there will be a little smoke as you get this started. Once you get that going, that smoke almost completely disappears. Once you get this stove started, then you just continue to feed wood in through this chamber. And sometimes if I don't have a heavy pan on there, I'll actually just pull the pan off and slip some more sticks down through the chimney. Once started, this creates a nice concentrated hot fire. When you set up your stove, you're going to want to know the wind direction, because you're going to want this upwind and this downwind so that that air is blowing in and out. And I tell you what, it's a beautiful sound when you hear that thing take off, and you can hear that noise. That means that it's getting going, and that fire is getting hot, and it just uses very little fuel. And once we get this thing going, the smoke will just about disappear because you're using that so efficiently.
Oh yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna drag the ashes out really quick.
One of the important things to understand about rocket stoves is you've got to have that airflow. So an important part of this process is pulling the spent coals back out of the way so that you keep the ability to feed fuel in and still have good airflow. Don't get discouraged if you pull this thing out the first time and it is a bit of a struggle. Any good tool is going to require some learning, and you're going to have to figure it out. And even though we've done several different rocket stoves, this one's a little unique, and you just have to figure it out. But once you figure that out, it becomes an amazing tool.
Benjamin decided to try using the Minuteman Rocket Stove using charcoal. And he learned that it was really quite a nice way to go. He just put the charcoal down there, started it. It kept the charcoal going nice and hot. And yet it didn't require the constant attending that it takes when you're feeding sticks into there. So using charcoal in the Minuteman Rocket Stove is definitely an option.
I really like this idea for several reasons. First of all, you can store some of that charcoal down inside like we did with the sticks. You could have some charcoal there. It's easy to carry a little container of charcoal. So given the choice of using sticks or charcoal, I would probably choose the charcoal if you have access to it. But it also does have the ability to feed that debris in as well.
And that's pretty much it. Just heat it up and you're done.
After experimenting with the Minuteman Rocket Stove, some of the things that we really like about it is that it's highly portable. You could pick this thing up and take it with you anywhere. It is heavy, right? But that also makes it incredibly durable. And like Jonathan was saying, you can store a lot of the things that you need in that ammo can, so it is ready to go with you at a moment's notice with everything that you might need. It's incredibly sturdy. It's built to last. I'm not sure that I can think of anything that could destroy this thing. The Minuteman Rocket Stove has the ability to use whatever fuel happens to be available, but it takes time and practice to develop the skill to use. This is not something that you purchase and you put away in your garage just in case something happens. You really need to experiment using this rocket stove so that you understand how to manage that fire effectively to be able to cook your dinner. If you're interested in purchasing one, you can go to MinutemanRocketStove.com. If you use the promo code Provident, Lane will throw in a free fire starter and a bag of Maya stick fat wood. And you always get free shipping. We are all into accepting challenges, right? Of different kinds of things that we can do to help our family become better prepared. And one day we received a comment from a viewer challenging us to cook a meal using as little fuel as possible. And so in this video, Fuel Ration Cooking Challenge, we accepted that challenge. We were able to cook an entire meal, including some bread, using just a small amount of sticks and a rocket stove. Charcoal is an incredibly good survival fuel. You can store large amounts of charcoal safely, and charcoal is really inexpensive. We created an entire video on charcoal and what a practical emergency cooking fuel it is, how to store it, how to use it, and all kinds of really good advice. And in our video about cool charcoal cookers, we show you some of the toys that we have. And now we get to add a Minuteman Rocket Stove to our arsenal of cool charcoal cookers. And my all-time favorite rocket stove is the Bear River Rocket Stove. With this rocket stove, we actually cooked our Thanksgiving dinner. We had asked to borrow it because I couldn't afford to buy it. And so we borrowed it for our 30-day cooking challenge where we cooked without electricity or natural gas for the entire month of November last year, including that Thanksgiving meal. And I fell in love with this rocket stove, and I wouldn't let Jonathan take it back, so we ended up having to buy it. So we encourage you to check out some of these other videos that we have on YouTube. There's so much great information.
Check them out.
Though it does take a little bit of time to master, rocket stoves can be a very efficient way to cook your food without power, using only small sticks and debris.
And Lane has agreed to throw in a free small striker, a bag of Fatwood fire starter, and free shipping when you use the promo code Provident when you shop at MinutemanStove.com. And now for the question of the day. What experience do you have using a rocket stove? Comment below, and thanks for being part of the solution.